Okay, what we're going to review today is actually the document on the left, but so that I can keep on the screen the storyboard walkthrough and the UML message model, what you see on the right is a PowerPoint slide which actually is embedded in this document. As you may remember, because we went over this last week, but what we've done is we've documented the use case 2 flow, which is where the retail customer provides access to a third party to obtain the resource data that their data custodian is restoring. And there are two ways that the retail customer can do that. They can initiate the process either at their data custodian website or at the third-party web portal. And so the first section is going to show the flow and the screens that the retail customer would see on their browser when they start from the data custodian. So what we've got is the data custodian screens are the ones with the orange, the third-party screens are the ones with the green. And for clarification purposes, in the last week we've changed the arrow references from just numbers to a number and a letter. In the case of the A series, that's the process that is unique to the data custodian. In the case of the B series, which we'll show in a few minutes, that's the sequence unique to the third party. And as you see at the bottom, the last two transitions do not have a letter, and that's because those are the common OAuth2 token authorization processes that you would see regardless of where you start. On the right, what we've also done is to help clarify the situation where, as a matter of validating the retail customer, the storyboard shows sign-ons between the 1A, 2A, and the 3A, 4A flows. We've actually expanded those flows on the right and have encapsulated those with braces. So you can see that there's significant message flow traffic that occurs whenever one of these screens from the retail customer browser side transitions, but they're transparent to the retail customer. Any questions on the data custodian side? Otherwise, I'll quickly move to the third party, because the actual gist of this is in the authorization flows themselves, which is the third set of storyboards and screens we'll go over. Any questions? Okay, then I'll move on to the third. In the document, what we've also done is we've annotated the steps to correlate, as you can see, with the reference numbers in both the storyboard and the UML messages. So between the three scenarios, we hope that you would be able to follow what will happen both from a user perspective as well as from a under-the-cover technical perspective. And what we've tried to do is put this closer to lay terminology rather than the extremely technical display that we've been using with the UML message flows. And then the last part of each section is actually a capture of using Wireshark, the actual message flows that would go across, which obviously is extremely very technical. So I'm just going to glance over that. The document is available on the SharePoint server, so anyone who would like to download this and take a look at it, please do. The next one I want to look at is the retail customer starts at the third party, and as you can see, the storyboard screens are almost identical. The biggest thing that's changed is the color. Again, green is the third party and orange is data custodian. Message flow has changed a bit more. You can see that there's additional sign-on processing to get into the third party, which actually was in the other screen, but was on the bottom half. Here it's on the top half. And again, the numbers one.
Are you on the wrong diagram on the right? Are you on the wrong diagram?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. I got them back. Okay. You're right, Marty. That's the data custodian. This is the third party. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for pointing that out, Marty. And as you can see, it all ends up back here at a scope selection screen on the third party side, where the third party allows the retail customer to indicate what is the scope of the resource data that they want to allow the third party to access. And once the retail customer has done that, they actually are going into the OAuth authorization code protocol flow, which the UML model on the right now shows. And to keep it in sync, we'll just go to that set of screens on the document. And although it's really only two screens, in this case we're showing that after the authorization has been approved, you'll come back to a successful type screen. The reality is you could go anywhere, including begin retrieving data if that's what your application desires. But notice that the other thing we've done on the UML slides is the colored, and I'm going to call them magenta, they may be coming up pink on your screens. Those are the flows that are directly related to OAuth2, and those are the flows that, per the OAuth2 framework specification, must occur and must occur in that sequence. I'll point out, though, that the actual authorization screen are these two arrows to the retail customer browser and the response, and you'll see they're not in pink. And the reason they're not in pink is that although a pop-up window or web page that the user selects to authorize is most likely 90+% of the implementations, the specification says that's not the only way you can do it. There are other mechanisms that you could utilize to confirm that the retail customer is authorized to third-party access. So although that process is part of the OAuth2, we don't want to make it as, we don't want to indicate that it's mandatory as the only way that the authorization server can obtain that authorization. Any questions? Otherwise, that pretty well finishes both the walkthrough and we believe the documentation for use case 2 without going into the real technical nitty-gritty portions of the document.